Switch it on, Hillary.
Is that on? Yeah, that's on. Sorry, so sorry. I've only just got used to that light shining right in my eyes. I've only just got used to the mics here. So, right, got some notices. It's nearly like church again, isn't it? We had an elders meeting on Tuesday. We had a meeting of the committee. We passed a resolution. All right. We were looking at the restrictions that are still in, that we have here. And one of the things that we were looking at is the wearing of masks as we are. So what we've come up with and what we've recommending is, if you still wear a mask when you come in, please wear a mask when you're singing, if you're moving about, but while you're seated, if you wish to remove your masks, please do so. If you feel like you want to take your mask off, then you can. So that's entirely up to you, okay? While you're sitting and not moving around, that's fine. The other one, obviously we just carry on the same with everything else. Go on, Steph, you'll be the first. You'll be the first, that's it. And Rachel, there we go. Nobody wants to do it, do they? Nobody wants to. We can see who everybody is. I didn't know who you were before, to make it up. Right, the other main notice that we've got is church meeting, which is on the 26th. We've mentioned this a couple of times. That's 2 weeks today. 2 weeks today. It's to look at what we're going to do, the way forward. What shall we do? Where shall we go? What do we want to do? So we've come up with some things just to think about, just because if we just leave it till then, we'll all come and we'll think, oh, what shall we think about? So let's be having some things to be thinking about, and then bring your own things, just ideas. Well, some of the things we were looking at, Simon came up with 6 questions, he said. And I've got 5, but I couldn't remember the 6th. He said, who, what, why, when, where, and then I've put how. Is that right? Oh, right, there we go then. So we were thinking some of the things that we did before, like life groups, Bible study and stuff like that, culture club. Do we want to do that again, or don't we? If we do, why do we? These are all things we're not saying. We're just asking for people's thoughts and ideas. There's lots of other things. The times of the services was another thing. Think it's all right at this time? Do you think it might be nice if in the summer we had it in the morning, in the winter we had it in the afternoon? Or do you think we should have it at a different time? Another thing to think about. These are all things that we can think about. And other things that we've been doing, like the wall outside. One thing we would say is have a look around, and if you come up with a thought and an idea, we need people to do it. We need people to do it. So, this is a brilliant idea, we'll do X, Y, Z, and then there's no one there. So we need to think about stuff like that. So please see, we don't have to always do what we always did, but neither do we have to throw the baby out with the bathwater if what we did's all right, and we'd like to do it again. And one of the things that we thought about before as well, that we did quite a while ago, and it had to stop for lack of volunteers, really. People was something that Rachel started a long time ago, which was called Family Space. We did that, if you remember, and that ran for quite a while, and it was really very good. And I thought, oh, that'd be great if we did something like that again. Yeah, it would. Well, who'd do it? Who'd do it? Yeah, but you need to think this through. So please have a think. I'm not saying we do that, I'm just saying these are other things that we can all think about what to bring. And please all bring something if you can. It's all got to be a general thing. And one other thing to please think about for then is the tithe fund. The tithe fund. Because we've had a long time in between meetings and stuff, the tithe fund, the 3-year thing that we did has stopped now. We did continue the one with Lily Joe. That's continuing. But what we'd agreed was we'd have, over a 3-year stint, we'd have 1 national, 1 international, 1 local. And we'd support them for 3. Do you want to do that again or not? Or something else? But we've only got 1 going on at the moment, which is the Lily Joe one. So there's over £7,000 in the tithe fund. It really shouldn't be sitting there. It needs to be doing some work. So please have a think of what we could use that for. The only criteria that we ever laid right at the start of this when we started doing a tithe fund was that it goes to a Christian organisation. And that it had to be, we started off being things like smaller ones that needed the money, if you know what I mean. A bit like Lily Joe needed it to start with. And things like that. They were small, not like, Christian Aid, because they get plenty of money, but smaller ones. So please think, we really shouldn't have that amount of money sitting around doing absolutely nothing when it could be used. So that's the other things to think about. And I think I've covered basically what we talked about, have I? I think that's it. Nobody's nodding at me. Yeah, we're nodding at me. I think I'm there. So that's me done. Okay. I put my mask on to sit down, and then I'm taking it off. Okay. Thank you. Dave. I've done.
Thank you, Hilary. Sharing time. If anybody would like to tell us what they've been doing this week or having a share this week. Simon's usually, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Simon.
Yeah, you've got to watch Dave.
Just a bit.
The first thing, just like a short thing, we did the sharing time in the service last week, and then we had the preach, and I got something to share on the back of the preach. And I'm thinking, should I interrupt the service now or just wait till next week? So I waited, and I nearly forgot, which is the challenge. It was a sermon to Philemon and the slave Onesimus, remember last week? Anybody know what Onesimus means? His name, the slave's name, what it means? I thought we had a group of spiritual giants in the room, but anyway, it means useful. I just thought how appropriate that name was for a slave, but also for us, that we're useful. What? Well, I'd rather be useful than useless. But that's just me. Who spotted as you came in today that something's changed? I know the Spirit's moving again because John's been messing with the chairs again. But something else? What changed today as you came in? Anything? Nothing? Okay, and I'm going to get into trouble now. Can I just ask Kathy and Maria to come up? Can I just ask Kathy and Maria to come up to the front? I'm in so much trouble because this was unplanned. But I had such a good time sharing with Helen last week that we thought we'd have a triple act this week. Just in front of the mic, can you just say why you wanted to do the door? I'm assuming there is a why, but yeah.
There is. Because about a year ago, or a year and a half, a long time ago, I was asking God, well, what do you want me to do? And I said, be on the door. But it's not just... so my feeling about being on the door is that I'm praying for each person as they come through. And I'm also praying that they leave outside anything that shouldn't be in here, that doesn't come in. And that as they come through these doors, that it's just the Spirit that they experience and have an experience of God. And God gave me a picture as well at a different time of the whole of the floor in here.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'll say it after.
Okay. Why did you want to do the door?
I didn't really want to do it. I was just told to do it because Hilary had something else to do.
And what exactly did Hilary say to you? Was she really aggressive?
She just gave me the book and said, tick people in.
If you just want to stay up here and finish off, yeah, thank you. No. There's not another question, you're right.
I had a picture of flames all over the floor in this place, like, you know, the fire that of Moses's bush that was flames but not burning up, so all over the floor. And that was I don't know, 9 months. It was the beginning of, it was a long time ago anyway. And I didn't really know, I've always, it's stuck in my mind, and I just see it as that the Holy Spirit here filling this room, and that when people walk here they experience him. And then Helen Helen did those, all of a sudden those jars recently appeared, and that's what I saw. So that reminds me all the time, because that's just what I saw all over the floor. So yeah.
Okay. Can we stand? And are you okay if we lay hands on you? Is that
Yeah.
right? You okay if we lay hands on you? Dave, can you lay hands on Kathy, and I'll lay hands on Maria? If you want to pray about the people on the door, and what's your prayer for people as they come in? What's your prayer for the people that are welcoming? Let's just pray. Father, thank you for Maria. Thank you for what she said about what you've said to her. Thank you for her obedience. I pray you bless her as she stands at the door. I pray that she'd have a word for each person as they come in. Thank you for her willingness to step up and to do this. Thank you that each of us have got a role. I just pray that as Maria does that, you bless her amazingly. In Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. Can we sit? You may remember a few weeks ago we talked about welcoming people, and I was reminded of that today, obviously, with these two new people that are standing on the door for us. At the start of COVID, a lady called Whitney Johnson, who's like a really authoritative a consultant in the world, based in America. I believe she's a Mormon, and that's like a sideline rather than. But she started a daily, Monday to Friday, half-an-hour slot on the internet where people all over the world just heard her speak. It was under the label "A Calm Amidst the Chaos." As COVID continued, she made that weekly, and she's still doing that weekly, and I'm like a regular attender. She tends to get to business people, charity people, leaders, authors, and she asks questions of the leaders to hear what's their story, what's their book. It's amazing at the start because people all over the world say who they are, where they are. So it can be like Chicago, New York, UK, Australia, America, India, Pakistan, and she just welcomes people as people write in the chat. But the person that she had in on Thursday was a guy that's written a book called "You Made My Day." And he got us thinking about what makes your day. What would make you say, "You made my day"? I was reminded of Gary Chapman's love languages. Anybody familiar with the love languages? So I couldn't remember all of them. I just mentioned in the chat on Thursday, oh, you've reminded me of this guy's 5 love languages. So I remember one was touch. I remember one was quality time. I remember one was gifts. I couldn't remember the others. And words of affirmation, thank you. And the 5th one? Acts of service. And the more I thought about that, the more I was reminded of welcome. I was reminded or challenged, what am I doing as a Christian for those 5 love languages to people that I bump into? It reminded me of welcome. I said in the chat on Thursday, I'm going to think about what that means for me. What would it take to make my day? And then when I wrote that, I didn't write the other way around and say, what do I think it would make to make other people's day? I didn't say that, and she said in the chat, Simon, what about the other way around? And I'm thinking, you plonky should have written that down in the chat because I was thinking it, but I never wrote it down. But I've thought about that, and the challenge is, it's a bit like, I'm actually guilty of this. It's someone's birthday, what do you buy them? Easy cop-out, vouchers. Quack, quack, oops, wrong answer. But if you're going to give a gift, you need to know who the person is and get to know them and all the rest of it. And that's a challenge. But again, I just think that there's a challenge for us about when we come into contact with people, what do they need? What's our love language for that person? And it's not I know the message of Jesus is for everybody, and that is the same, but how people access that and understand that and start to walk that way is totally dependent on where they're from, what their love language is.
Thank you, Simon. Left and Joe. Thank you. Thank you.
At work, I've had my, like every so often we have a, what is it called? A prayer so. And I told her I've got learning and the senior nurse went through the questions from me, and she's pleased me, and she said, I'm always smiling, I always respect the residents, and she asked me why, and I said, because I go to church and I believe in Jesus. And one of the questions was about elderly people. It relaxes people when they're, you know what I mean, end of life really. And I always and she was pleased with me. And another thing, once a week, when I'm on my days off, I like to take Dad out, and we went to Shipley this week. And I saw somebody dancing for ages, Sarah Kirby. She was getting some money out of the machine, and I was pleased. And she said, well, I think I'm going to pray for her because she wants some work at the volunteer at the Sally Army in Shipley. And she shook hands with my dad, and it was lovely to see Sarah. That's it.
Thank you, John, for sharing that. It's nice to know what's going on away from us. You can.
It's just by way of encouragement, really. A couple of weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I can't remember now, Hilary and I took the service and we talked about perspective and moving forward and attitudes and where we needed to go as a fellowship, what we needed to do to serve the community. And then last week, Maria talked to us about everyday things and God talking to you and God being with you and you not recognising it sometimes. And I've had a new fence put up. There is a point to this, bear with me. I've had a new fence put up this week, and it's been really, really traumatic. And I apologise to all the people I've seen in the week who have bored with this. The workmen not turning up, national shortages of materials, thunderstorms washing your cement out, all sorts of stuff. Right? So it's really traumatic. It's done now. I won't be mentioning it again. Well, I might. I don't know. And I apologise now for anybody that does our Daily Bread Bible notes, because by the time it got to Friday, and this mega stressful fence business, when I opened the Bible notes to look at them, I opened the wrong day. And I opened the following week instead of last week. And the actual thing says, the title of the thing says, Move Your Fence. So talk about God slapping you round the head, because this is what it says. This is just what I wanted to leave with you. And I do apologise for the people that take these to Bible notes, because it's a spoiler now for next Friday. It says, the village vicar couldn't sleep. As World War II raged, he'd told a small group of soldiers they couldn't bury their fallen comrade inside the fenced cemetery next to his church. Only burials for church members were allowed. So the men buried their beloved friend just outside the fence. The next morning, however, the soldiers couldn't find the grave. What happened? The grave is gone, one soldier told the Reverend. Oh, it's still there, he told them. The soldier was confused, but the churchman explained. I regretted telling you no, so last night I got up and I moved the fence. God may give fresh perspective for our life challenges too if we look for it. That was the prophet Isaiah's message to the downtrodden people of Israel. Instead of looking back with longing at their Red Sea rescue, they needed to shift their sight, seeing God doing new miracles and blazing new paths. Do not dwell on the past, he urged them. See, I am doing a new thing. He's our source of hope during doubts and battles. I provide water in the wilderness, streams in the wasteland, providing drink to my people, my chosen people. Refreshed with new vision, we too can see God's fresh direction in our lives. May we look with new eyes to see his new paths. Then, with courage, may we step onto new ground, bravely following him. And that's just what I pray for us as a fellowship.
And I can't switch God off, sorry. I was reminded, I think it was Mike Pilavachi of Soul Survivor in London, or at Chorley Wood, just outside London. He said something about we need to move as a church from you've got to believe before you belong to a church where you can belong before you believe. But that's like the fence for me. I don't think we're cliques in church. I think personally, I like to welcome new people into whatever I'm doing. But I think there's a challenge there from the Daily Bread notes, but also what is our attitude towards new people coming in? Where is our fence? Where is the boundary? You know, and just to carry it on, is the fence permeable? Is there a fence? Should there be a fence? Should there be any fence?
Thank you, Tracy. Simon? Who do know that's well? We could just do a count up of how people are doing. Obviously, I see Tony for quite a while. So, if there's anybody got any more info for us to share this morning, yes, by all means, just to see how people are. Because it is very important, even, yes, I know, you can go. And as I'm speaking, people who are isolated is the highest. People that Anne sees, it's, what she does is, well, we know. We don't. Yeah.
I just wanted to thank people also for praying for Jessica last week, because she was starting Greenhead and she was really, really nervous about the bus journeys. Buses tend to make her sick, but also just because she hasn't done it before, and she was really nervous about that. The bus journeys have been fine, so that's really good. So she's she had a bit of a funny one on Thursday when a guy who sounded a bit psychotic tried to keep talking to her on the bus, and she came home a bit traumatized from that. But there were lots of people around, and the day after that, she went with a friend the first couple of days and came back with a friend, and on Friday she actually went from Huddersfield to Bradford, changed at the interchange and came home all on her own, which is really an achievement for her. So it's really good that hasn't been making her sick, and she has enjoyed Greenhead and met loads of really nice people, and really proud of herself for talking to new people, because she found that hard. So that's been all really fantastic. She's having to struggle with getting up at 6 a.m. and feeling sick in the mornings and not being able to eat, and she thinks she's a bit worried about that, because that's not normal for her to not want to eat. So she's not feeling great this weekend, is she, with not being able to eat, and I think it's a lot of nerves. School, but also Katie's going to go away on Tuesday, so I think for Jess that's going to be the biggest thing. So you probably all know she's been wanting to go to Hawaii for a really long time, like year and a half, and we didn't think it was going to happen, and it is. So she's... No, she's going on Tuesday morning from Leeds Bradford at 10, and she's getting back in March. So she's going to Mexico for 2 weeks to quarantine, and then going on to Hawaii. So anyway, my sharing thing was about also that it's all happened really fast because we didn't know if she was going to be able to get, so she's only booked a ticket less than 2 weeks ago. And so everything's happened in a really short space of time. And I was supposed to be working yesterday and tomorrow. They gave me tomorrow off, and I've got Tuesday off, and they'll give me tomorrow off, which is great because that's not always able to do at shorthand, and I'm so thankful to God for that. And then I was going to do yesterday afternoon instead of Monday. And I got to work yesterday afternoon and they didn't need me, so I just turned around and came home, which is amazing as well. So I'm just thankful to God for all the extra time because it's been a really precious time. So thank you.
No, thank you for sharing. I have a note here from what Anne's asked me to say is Jean Woodhead is a long-standing member of the Daybreak, and she's gone into Knowles Court. Am I? That's fine. So if there's anybody else that you know that needs prayer, or if there's anybody here that needs... Hannah, yeah.
Summer school at Oxford. She's there for 2 weeks and she had to take a PCR test yesterday. So she's isolated. I'm praying it's breast flu and it's not COVID because I don't want to have to drive to Oxford to go get her.
No.
But the quicker it comes back, the better, really.
Yeah.
She's in a room where she goes on her own.
Thank you. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else would like to share anything before? It's good this morning. We like to listen to each other because sometimes we keep it to ourselves and we shouldn't do sometimes, or sometimes. But that's good. Next, are we... Yes. And Katie. Heavenly Father, as Katie and Hannah go on into their new world, if you like, pray that you'll sustain them, hold them up, and keep them strong. Make sure that they've got you around to support them, Lord, and for their journeys and their journeys where they're going to. Just bless them and keep them safe as we, as parents, get really scared when our children go away. So just pray for that guidance and security in their lives. Amen.